Well, the federal government looks set to score its first legislative victory of the year and a major boost to its economic argument. It's in line for a $2.5 billion windfall if it can convince the independents to back plans to tighten health insurance rebates. That would go a long way to helping deliver the promise of a surplus in May. But the move hinges on the government's power of persuasion. Political correspondent Tom Iggulden reports from Canberra.
Under the government's plan, the 30% private healthcare insurance rebate would be progressively scaled back for families who earn more than $166,000 and singles on more than $83,000. By incomes of $250,000 and $129,000 respectively, the rebate would disappear altogether. The government says it'd be fairer that way.
We don't want a situation where the people who sit on this front bench or that front bench have their private health insurance subsidised by the people who clean this chamber at night.
Labor ruled out a means test in 2007, but last year it tried and failed twice to introduce one anyway. Now, thanks to the Greens and key independents, it looks set to get its way. Andrew Wilkie, no friend of the government in recent weeks, is close to giving his support.
We're almost there.
The Greens are also supporters, but want $1 billion put into dental health care in the next budget in exchange for their vote.
What I'm not going to start doing is horse trading on this legislation.
If discussions with ministers are going to be criticised by the ministers themselves as horse trading, we'll do the debate on the floor of the Parliament.
The final vote could come from Rob Oakeshott, who's keeping his deliberations to himself for now. Private health insurers, who are fearful they'll lose customers, are pressuring Mr Oakeshott to vote no by claiming the government has underestimated the impact of the means test.
If you've got 60% of your voters who are privately insured, why would you want to disadvantage them?
The opposition's presenting Mr Oakeshott and the other independents with the same argument.
And we'll continue those discussions over the weekend and next week, and we're determined to give every effort to try to defeat this bad bill.
The $2.4 billion the move would deliver to the government over the next 3 years would go a long way to helping it deliver on other promises.
This is a government that's not introducing this bill because it's good for the health system, it's because it's good to try and get them back to surplus.
Again today, the government tried to take the economic fight to the opposition in Parliament, zeroing in on an apparent backdown by the coalition to deliver a surplus in its first term.
So that they can give a big fat tax cut to Gina Rinehart and Clive Palmer, Mr Speaker.
They just want to shovel money at some of their rich mates, and all of this is a cover-up of those intentions.
All this was a reference to further attempts by the opposition today to taint the Prime Minister with the investigation into Labor MP Craig Thomson by Fair Work Australia.
A Prime Minister clearly on edge, clearly rattled, clearly incapable of telling the truth about the investigation by Fair Work Australia and the member for Dobell.
You twist and you turn and you scratch and you claw to try and see if you can find another little bit of mud to throw.
There was even a family tree showing union infiltration into Fair Work Australia.
And we have the Prime Minister, we have Tim Lee, we've got Craig Thomson.
And a suggestion the Prime Minister's office had influenced the industrial umpire.
If the Leader of the Opposition was to take appropriate action in relation to standards in the opposition, the Deputy Leader wouldn't have her position by the end of question time today.
The dogs are barking, but Julia Gillard's doing her best to keep her caravan rolling on. $2.5 billion in her treasure chest would certainly help. Tom Iggulden, Late Line.